Hey yo guys, Fat Lizard Boy here. I'm kind of upset because I already recorded this episode. But it only, I recorded it, right, and it says I was recording the entire time. I stopped the recording, and then said video saved, right, and it recorded the last half of the video, the last 25 minutes. It was an hour long. Like usual. Most of my videos are meant to be an hour long, or just shy of an hour. So, this is gonna be what if Deku was a Terminator. I've done this 3 times now. 3 fucking times. I have made this intro now. And the backstory. So, you know what? I'm just gonna cut it down short. Skynet was losing the war against humans. They made this robot, which is like a T-850, I think that's what they're called. With some aspects of a TH. Has real living synthetic skin. It has real living skin. The skin is living. It has basically just assembly in its chest that helps make blood go through all the veins. It's basically like a lesser type of Skynet in its head. And it has these robots underneath the skin, microbots, whatever, nanobots, I don't know what they're called, I forgot. That are underneath the skin to help it regrow. This is not what it will look like underneath the skin. But it'll look like, if I can find it here. Okay, well, just forget about it. So, they made this robot, and it grows because it does grow up in age, even though it can control its physical looking age. So it was going to be sent back in time to basically not kill John Connor, but to, I don't know what, just think of some sort of stereotypical Skynet plan. And it was basically meant to fill that out. So when they were sent back, there was a power surge that messed up a bunch of the machines there because of humans were attacking wherever this was. And it basically sent Deku, instead of back in time, forward in time into another dimension. So, Deku gets sent forward in time into another dimension. About a young 22-year-old woman who's currently going through a divorce with her husband, finds this small baby wrapped up in cloth. It looks about to be 2 months old, crying in an alleyway. This woman has green hair, green eyes. So she takes this small infant into her home. I should say this. The second that she touched his cheek, because she wanted to look at his face, the second she did, because she got to look at him. He had black hair. The second she touched his skin, his hair turned green. She was kind of freaked out. So what happened was, when she touched his skin, a bunch of these nanobots came out from his skin into her skin, scanned her genetic code, DNA, genetic makeup, and everything, and put it into him, making him related to her, but while still being male. Her husband wasn't divorced. They weren't divorced yet. They were still living in the same house. When she came home, they started arguing, and because she had a child in her hands, this man only wanted this woman for her body because she was hot. She was very fit and hot and tall and strong. And so the reason why they were getting divorced was because she got pregnant and she didn't want to put the baby up for adoption. She wanted to keep it. So she yelled at the man, well, at least hold him. Hands him the baby, and he goes, alright, fine, I'll hold the little shit. Picks him up, and his skin just barely brushes against Deku's skin. And it takes his genetics and DNA and makeup and mixes him with the woman's genetic DNA and makeup, making him biologically related to both. He now has the exact same genetic makeup as he does in the anime. He genetically related to him. His DNA is basically the same as in the anime. So, Inko already, if you didn't know already, because you're stupid, Inko has a child already now. In this one, the woman was Inko, and the man was Hisashi. Inko does have a child in this one, about the exact same age as Izuku, 2 months old, and it's a girl. Her name is Yumi, like I made in what was going to be this episode, but because it only recorded the later half of the damn thing, it pisses me off that it only recorded the later half. So, Izuku is now genetically related to Hisashi and Inko, and going to be his future sister. So after Inko got done with something, she picked up Izuku and told Hisashi to get the fuck out of her house. Hisashi grabbed some stuff and left. And so after that, Inko had taken Izuku to a place to get some backtracking, to get some records on him. They had no records, so they did a DNA test. And then it came back that Inko was the mother and Hisashi was the father. And like, ma'am. And they show her the results. She's like, wait, no, this isn't my kid. I found him in an alleyway. I've only ever had one kid, and that's a girl. This is a boy. They go, I don't know, ma'am, but we don't know. So she technically adopts Izuku. She doesn't really have to. The hospital just kind of gives her papers for it. And so she had a very stable job, but it required her to work long hours and get home very late in the day, almost nighttime. So Mitsuki was around, right? And so she technically didn't have to. So she helped Inko basically raise Yumi and Izuku. We're gonna skip to when Izuku is 4. He's basically as intelligent as Einstein. And knows about his body. That he's robotic. He's basically just a fucking robot, and he's got this AI in his head that's making him super smart and stuff. The AI is cold and calculated. And it tells him certain things like how to adjust his body. He has upgraded his body already, even though he's only 4. He basically, at the age of 4, he broke into 3 hardware stores, took about around $200,000 worth of tools, and just... Sorry, did I say hardware stores? I meant like hard warehouses, goddammit. And taking around $200,000 worth of stuff. And has upgraded his body. Now on his right arm, he has the ability to have these spikes come out of his sides of his arm and the bottom of his arm. He will summon a bunch of electricity in his hand, touch the lower spike with the electricity, slowly bring it up, and the electricity will go bigger to where he has to open up his hand. And then when it gets to the back, a spike will come out of the top of his arm, touching his hand, and when it does, the electricity will turn into a ball that he can then throw. This attack will burn off all the skin on his arm up to just above his elbow. So, there we go. Sorry, I had to pop my neck. So, god damn it, I need to stop saying so. I'm sorry, guys. Anyways, Izuku, they go to the quirk doctor's office. He looks at him. Says, well, he's got metal bones and stuff, and says that he's probably very strong and fast. And things like that. And says that there are some weird things on his right and left arm. Also, on his left arm, I forgot to say, he basically has a grappling hook, right, that shoots out. It's got an extremely tough wire that's about slightly less than a hair thick. And he's got the grappling hook before the hook part. It's collapsed, and it's about as wide as a hair all the way around. So it'll shoot out when it hits something. It will stick into it and expand slightly, just enough so it won't come out of the wall. So Deku. So they tell him this stuff, right? And Deku's kind of like, oh, I had no idea about any of this. Nuh-uh, this definitely wasn't me. Nope, not at all. And they go over Rachel's quirk. Not Rachel's, goddammit. Sorry. Rachel was the name of Deku's sister in what was going to be my what if Deku was dream thing. Deku's sister is Yumi. So Yumi has pyrokinesis. Because in this one, Inko had telekinesis, Hisashi had fire breathing. She can breathe fire and control fire. So she can control any source of fire, but she can also breathe out fire and control that. Also, Deku is great friends with Bakugo. Bakugo's not a dick anymore. He's actually pretty nice, but he's still kind of he still jokingly says things like worthless and extra. He doesn't really mean them as much as he did in the anime. Still, he's nicer, a lot nicer, but he's not. He's kind of nice. I should say that. He's kind of nice, but still kind of good old Bakugo. Mixture of nice and good old Bakugo. And by now, Mitsuki has found a job that pays very similar to her old one, and she does not have to work those long hours. So only on certain days does Mitsuki have to look after Yumi and Deku. We're gonna go ahead and skip to when Deku is now. Also, I should say, for his big arm attack, he has a lesser one that does not require the spikes, and he just summons an electrical ball and throws it, and that will only give him just very, very, and I mean very minor burns on his hand. He can also feel pain, but he has that toggled off for most of his life. So we're gonna go ahead and skip. Basically, the last day of their school is almost the same, except nobody bullies Deku, because Deku is stronger than all of them. He's messed with his hydraulics, and so now he's basically stronger than he was before, and he can basically kill someone with a single punch. You can basically kill a child. Sorry, anyone his age with a single punch, unless they have a special type of quirk or a very strong body. He's also given himself some more reinforcements and his armor plating. So, you see the top of this little upside down T, right? The top of it up here, up near the bottom of the neck, right? That will have a big metal plating going across down to the bottom over here. And same for the other side. He has messed with his hydraulics, like I said, except not only that, but he's made them a lot quieter. Made it to where they give off a lot less vibration and things like that, making him stealthier, and he's able to move quicker, while also making himself more silent. He has changed his eyes. Basically has Mei Hatsume's quirk, where he can see for like wasn't hers zoom, wasn't it like 3 kilometers or 5? I don't know, but he can zoom like up to 20 kilometers if he wanted to. He can also see in thermal, night vision, regular, and anything else like that. Black light vision. walk up into a schoolboy's dorm and just turns that on. It's like, oh god, this place is disgusting. Also, Deku can have kids because, well, he's got to fit into society, right? He was built to perfectly fit in. So he's got that organ down there. But because he has genetic DNA since he does have a genetic code and stuff. From Hisashi and Inko, he can have kids. It'll carry on their quirk, and they will also have a metal robot endoskeleton. It won't be like Deku's. It'll be a lot less. It won't be as strong. It'll be a lot weaker, not as big, buff, muscular. So the sludge villain happens. We're gonna go cut to that. All Might doesn't even get to show up because Yumi simply makes a fire circle around him, and Bakugo just kind of explodes him downwards, and Yumi just kind of just puts a top on it, making it to where he can't leave or else he'll get completely killed. Heroes come up and they're like, kids, that was very reckless and things. All Might sees just how strong these kids are, right? But he's gonna wait. He's gonna wait to see how their life goes on. So we're gonna go ahead and skip to the UA tricks exam, because if I don't, then, well, I'm not gonna be able to get as far into the video, and I swear to God, if it only records the later half, I'm going to shoot myself. So if I don't upload ever again, you know why. So, Deku applies for UA and stuff. Written exam, passes it, gets the highest score because of the robot in his head. Yumi and Bakugo, they have been training together for the 10 months. Deku doesn't need to train. He only enhances his body. And he has just mainly reinforcing some areas, making his weak spots less weak, making his pistons extend a lot faster and stuff. He basically is super fast, super strong, super agile, can jump very fucking high, can run very fast, and is super stealthy, like stupidly stealthy. Unnaturally stealthy. He can see through walls, and he has increased his hearing, and now he can hear your heartbeat. If basically it's about, depending on the walls, if it's an average apartment building, he can hear you from like 3 floors up. With the car, if it had carpeting and everything. To help muffle all the noise, he can still hear your heartbeat from 3 floors up. You are not safe if he wants you dead. If he wants you dead, you're gonna die no matter what. So Deku applies, gets a very high score. Also, I'm going to say that the night before the UA Tricks exam, he was messing with his hydraulics and stuff. Yumi walked into this and just seen Deku there with a knife, a scalpel, tweezers, a literal soldering iron, circuitry iron everywhere. All the skin on his arms were gone. He had a screwdriver and he was tinkering with the metal. She was just sitting there shocked that he could do this just so nonchalantly. He had blood all over the front of he had a butcher's apron on. And he had blood on his face and stuff. So, she didn't see what he was doing, right? But he lifts up his arm, she could just see that it was metal and covered in blood. He was messing with it, right? And so he squeezes his fingers down. His index finger and his thumb go down before everything else, and they come down after. He goes, nah, it's not right. And he starts tweaking with it. After about a second, after he tweaks it just one time, it works perfectly like he wanted. I was alright, well, that's good. And he looks at the other one, so he goes, okay, well, that one's good. And he flicks off all the blood off of it. He starts to go, okay, time to work on my wrist. She's just sitting there shocked silent. She then goes, Izuku? He then spins around, right, without even thinking. So all you see is just like, imagine Izuku is 14, right? Except he's extremely tall. He's like 6'1", I'm gonna say. You just see the 6'1" kid with green hair. All the skin on his arms from the shoulders down are gone. Turn around, he's wearing a butcher's apron, completely covered in blood, and so is on his face, and he goes, "Hey, Yumi!" She's like, she almost screams. Deku then stands up, realizing what he's done, runs at her, covers her mouth, and says, "Please, please, please don't scream." He then uncovers it and goes, "Oh God, I'm sorry." He then runs over, puts on his meat arms, puts on his meat sleeves. He heals up. He wipes off, washes off all the blood. Yumi's sitting there basically traumatized. She then passes out from trauma. Deku then says, "Maybe if I can put her back in her bed, she'll think this was all a dream." So he carries her up to her room, puts her back in her bed, after he cleaned off her face, cleaned all the blood off of her. He then goes down to his basement, continues to work a little bit more, then finishes up, wipes away all the blood, and then goes back to sleep. Yumi wakes up, and she's like, "What?" She goes down there, very slowly, to their basement, turns on a light, and all the tools are gone, the soldering iron, the wrench, the saw, all of it's gone. She's like, there's no blood at all. She's like, "Huh, thank God, it was just a nightmare. Whew." And then she tells Deku about her nightmare, quote unquote nightmare. So Deku is like, "Oh, well, yeah, that was just a nightmare. There's no way. No. I just agrees with her that it was just a nightmare. She knows that he has a metal underneath him, but like she has never seen it other than just small cuts that led down to it. Now time for so they're gonna go ahead and back to the entrance exam. Deku, like I said, aced it. Bakugo got the same score on the written exam. Yumi got a bit higher than Bakugo on the entrance exam because Deku helped teach her a little bit, being a good brother, helping out his sister. Deku then sits down so that way they can go over the robots and stuff. Ida stands up and shouts at President Mike, saying the same thing. He then looks around and sees Deku messing with his fingers, and you can kind of hear his joints popping. If you can't tell, I'm doing those air quotes. Popping. And he turns around and shouts at Deku, "That's very annoying. You're interrupting everyone, and it's very bothering and distracting." Bakugo then shouts, "Shut the fuck up, Four Eyes. You're the one who sidetracked all this so you can yell and make yourself seem good. Now sit down." Ida then, very pissed off, sits down grumpily. Deku then only realized after what happens, like, "Huh, what? Oh, okay." Now we're gonna go to the physical exam. The second the gate opens, Deku just grappled the front of the ceiling, ripped himself up, and threw out of the gate. Right. Ida shouts at him that was that he should be disqualified before leaving and stuff. But before he can say anything, Bakugo thinks in a split second, "God damn it, if I don't catch up, he's gonna beat me." Little shit. He blasts out of there. Yumi's like, what do I do? I don't want to be left behind." She breathes out fire and uses the fire to propel herself forward. Todoroki sees this and looks at her and goes, "That's kind of hot." Wait, no, Todoroki wasn't in there. Never mind. But I thought Todoroki got in on a whatever it's called. So Deku gets in, and he gets out of the gate area and he starts fighting robots. Right, and so the first one he sees, he just punches, goes straight through the head. He punches it through the head. It removes the skin on his knuckles and fingers. He goes through, cuts him a little bit on his arm. Hits the back, it bends his arm. His arm goes out the back, and the back just busts off except for the bottom, and it bends downwards. So Deku's basically just got his arm stuck in the back as it slowly comes down. right? So he's just riding it down, right, towards the bottom. He rips his arm out, lands, rolls out of the way just enough because the feet of the damn... Sorry, not the feet. The head lands about 3 feet behind him. I mean, the rest of it does. And they're like, oh, damn, that kid's powerful. Deku looks and realizes that the metal on his knuckles are showing, so says, I should be fine. Goes and just starts beating the shit out of robots, right? Not even using his electricity. So, after a while, Deku's getting very close to All Might's score.